And welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are taking a divergent course. We are going to explore the world of haute couture with the Charlotte Fashion Collective, and we have the organization's founder and organizer here on the show to talk about that. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing down in the comments below. We encourage your engagement because the more you tell us about how we're doing, the more we can find ways to improve our game. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and let's dive in. Todd, my man, how are you doing on this fine, warm Saturday evening?
I am fantastic. I'm excited to be here. I greatly appreciate you guys recognizing us and can't wait to talk with you more about what we're doing and what's happening in Charlotte and all the great things the fashion world has to bring to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing about the Charlotte Fashion Collective was that I never knew it existed. I just thought it was just something that people kind of get together to basically just like exchange clothes, kind of like what you see at swap meets.
Right.
But as I read more into it, and as I chatted with you months before we came on tonight, there was a lot more going on than just a simple swap meet of people just talking fashion and sharing vintage clothes. So can you start from the very beginning? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what got you into the fashion industry here.
Yeah. It's an interesting story. I mean, or maybe it's probably not that interesting because it wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened. Um, I started doing photography not that long ago, maybe 6 years ago. Um, you know, not within the intentions to do anything specific with it, but I was doing some landscape photography. I was hiking a lot at the time, taking advantage of some of the great, hiking trails we have here in North Carolina, and I was doing a lot of pictures. And I just, I didn't grow up in a world of fashion. Was never like a big part of my life. I always did like fashion. I always liked clothing. I always liked buying nice, fashionable clothes, and I always liked dressing nicely. It was always kind of part of me, but more of a personal thing. Nothing I ever brought out to the community. But as I started doing more and more photography, I started gravitating towards looking for the option to do some fashion type photography, and I wasn't really quite sure how to do it. I had no idea what it was, how one would get involved in doing fashion photography, and I just started taking my camera everywhere I would go. And I would find people that I thought would make great subjects for doing fashion photo shoots, and I started engaging with them, and little by little I started doing fashion photography. I started anytime I found out there was a runway event in Charlotte, I would just show up with my camera. People used to think I was the hired photographer, and I was just the guy with the camera. They're going to take pictures. And if you show up and you do work, and enough people start to like your work, then before you know it, you start to become somebody that people recognize. And so after a few events that I shot, and um, also being very responsive and reliable to the community when you take people's pictures and making sure you communicated with them afterwards and got them their pictures, and found out what they liked and didn't like, and constantly learned how to get better at doing it. Before you know it, I became shooting fashion, and then I started meeting some designers, and I started engaging more with models. And then I had a model that had approached me about doing a photo shoot, and I asked her if there was any designers that she liked to work with, and she mentioned a few names to me. One of the names she mentioned was a person named Venancio Tadeo, who I didn't know who he was at the time. And she said, he's a designer. I really like his stuff. And I didn't know who he was. I reached out to him on Instagram and said, "Hey, I'm shooting this model, and maybe you have some wardrobe we can use." And he invited me to his house. I had no idea that Benny was a world-known designer, has done work for Victoria's Secret Runway, and he was an incredible, genuine person. And he brought me in his home and let me take a bunch of his clothes. And I did this great photo shoot with the model, and things kind of spiraled from there. Um, and then as I started engaging more and more with the community, I found that what was making me successful as a photographer was recognizing that fashion is a confluence of a multiple set of disciplines. And those disciplines require creativity and inspiration from different areas. As a photographer, I had a viewpoint, but models have viewpoints. Hair and makeup artists have viewpoints that are critical to the photo shoot. Wardrobe and wardrobe design and styling and all those things are all components that all are critical to doing great fashion photography. And as I began working with different artists in that arena, I ended up forming this little team of people that we worked almost exclusively together, and we were just doing incredible things between us, between the hair and the makeup and the wardrobe, and it just ballooned. And that's what I said to myself. You know what? What wouldn't it be great if the whole community could get together and do this? Because we need each other. We can't do this alone, right?
Hmm.
I can, if I may be a great photographer, but if my model doesn't have great wardrobe and great hair and makeup, how good can my pictures possibly be? I mean, they just can't be, right? They can't be that good. So I said, wouldn't it be great if we got the community together and said, hey guys, we can get together and be a collaborative community and create art in fashion together. And I woke up in October in the middle of the night, and the words, the Charlotte Fashion Collective, I think I threw them up all over me. And it was born that evening. It was in the month of October in 2021. And it was instantly made sense. You know, when you tell somebody that you're part of an organization called the Charlotte Fashion Collective, it's kind of obvious what we do. You don't have to do a lot of explaining. And at this point, I had already made a lot of contacts in the industry. I knew all the designers in Charlotte. I started knowing all the models in Charlotte. And so we launched it in January of 2021, and it just ballooned from there. We started putting together events where we would all get together with wardrobe and hair and makeup, and we would have sometimes 10 or 12 or 15 photographers show up, and designers would show up with racks of wardrobe, and we just started creating amazing things. And that was the birth of the Charlotte Fashion Collective. It's become something a lot more than that since that time, but that was the birth of it. I only take credit for putting a bunch of amazing people together. And once you put a bunch of incredible, creative, amazing people in a room together, amazing things happen. And that's what happened. And that was the birth of the Charlotte Fashion Collective. And here I am now, a guy who a few years ago was walking around wondering how he would ever get an opportunity to shoot fashion. Now has the entire fashion community available almost at a moment's notice, which is an amazing and beautiful thing. So that's the story.
Well, what I find so fascinating is the fact that was the fact that you didn't cut your teeth, at any of the major fashion markets like New York or LA. You were mainly I guess restricted is the best word, to the Charlotte fashion scene, right?
Yeah, so and that's a really good point. Everybody wants to go to New York and work in New York fashion. We'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later on. But there's so much to do right here in Charlotte. We have amazing models. We have amazing designers. We have amazing talent right here in Charlotte. Why do I need to go to New York? What
Right.
the hell do I need to go to New York for? For what? It's all right here at my doorstep. There are people that are incredible, talented people right here in Charlotte that I have access to. Why do I need to go to New York? I do not. There is not a single reason for me to go. I have never gone to New York Fashion Week. I could go there and I could be a photographer at one of the shows and all those things. But why? For what? I guess maybe the experience. I mean, I liken going to New York Fashion Week as the equivalent of going to Disneyland. I really do. It'll probably be a great experience, and it'll be a lot of fun, and it's going to cost a lot of money. But I don't go to Disneyland with the expectation that I might someday become Mickey Mouse, okay, or a famous Disney actor. But people go to New York Fashion Week with hopes and dreams, and that's the problem. I don't need to go there because I have somehow hopes and dreams that I think can be realized at New York Fashion Week. If you want to go for the experience and have a great time, fine. It's no different than going to Cancun on a vacation. You just spend a bunch of money, and I'm for it. What I'm not for is people going there thinking that this is some great potential to deliver hopes and dreams and bring things to fruition, because the likelihood of that happening is about as good as playing the lottery, which I'm also not a fan of. So that's why I'm perfectly happy right here in Charlotte. No desire to go beyond it. At least, I mean, do I want to expand what we do beyond Charlotte? Yes, I definitely do. But does it mean that I have to have some type of New York experience for me to have creative opportunity? Absolutely not.
So, so before you started the collective, was that something you would hear all the time? Because I remember, to use an equivalent, I remember when I was in film school, a lot of people said, the number one way to get into the industry is to go work as a waiter in LA and kind of like schmooze with like all the producers and kind of work your way onto sets and kind of start from the bottom and work your way up. Was that something that you heard, among models and fashion designers during that
I don't.
time?
I haven't heard anything like that, and I can't say that I know whether that. I do believe that, like in LA, that's probably true. That probably is true. That's what all those guys do. They all wait on tables, and they're all trying to get any opportunity for auditions that they possibly can. Modeling is a little bit different than acting. Um, uh, it's a much smaller group of people. There's not as many opportunities for models as there are for actors. Okay? There's a lot more opportunities for actors and actresses than there are for models. Um, so I don't, if you want to be, most agencies will tell you that if you want any kind of work, you're going to have to do some kind of acting, that it's not going to just be modeling. Now, there's a few of the big agencies like Ford Modeling. Yeah, I mean, they do modeling. Yeah, Wilhelmina, they do modeling. IMG, they do modeling. So some of these big agencies, yeah, but most of the other ones, there's not a lot that really do a lot of modeling work. It's just not. There's just not. It's because in the United States, there are approximately 3,200 working models. In the world, there are approximately 13,000 working models. Okay, so do that math. If there's around 3,200 working models in the United States, I mean, the likelihood you're going to be one of them, it's like lottery type stuff.
Right.
It just plain is. So I think for people that want to, I think that people that want to do this, modeling doesn't have to be a career choice. And I think that's one of the most important things that I want people to know, is that modeling doesn't have to be your career choice. I know a lot of grown men that play on adult baseball leagues. Are they hoping to get a job on a Major League Baseball team? Any of them? I don't think so. So you can model and love what you do and have this be a creative experience for you, just like somebody that paints or somebody that does any other type of art, without it having to be a career choice, and without you having to base success or failure based on whether or not you have a quote unquote modeling career.
Right. Because from what I've seen and heard, they kind of sell it like this is the golden ticket. This is like the path you need to take in order to be successful, is to make it a career, and they kind of ends up destroying a lot of people as a result.
That's the thing about it. That's the worst part about it, is if you come into it and you say, this is the objective of what I want to do, and you either make it or you don't, then you can take something that you love and destroy it and ruin it. If you love mountain climbing, okay, if you love mountain climbing, but you can't make to the top of Everest, does that mean you should not climb any mountains at all anymore? Should you just give up because you can't make it to Everest? Right? Can you say, well, you know what? I'm not going to climb any mountains if I can't get to the top of Everest. Even though I love mountain climbing, I love it. It's what I love to do. I love climbing to the tops of mountains. But if I can't get to the top of Mount Everest, there's no point in me in climbing any mountains at all.
Right.
Right? So no, there's no reason to do that. So when models are given, an objective or a goal, or the value in what they're doing can only be realized through getting to the top of Mount Everest, then that expectation, just like all expectations, will most likely lead to disappointment. And then you take something that is a good, healthy, positive thing for somebody and you ruin it. You destroy it. This is somebody who could have engaged in modeling, engaged in fashion, and done something that they love and got great personal reward from it, but had to give it up because they couldn't get to the top of the mountain, or the top of the largest mountain in the world. So we have to change that perspective, because the reason that people do this is because they love it. It's an art. It's not anything more. It's not anything less than that.
Right. But but the way that that society is, everything is kind of subjected to commodification and monetization, and you kind of
Well,
like take the joy and love out of it because it's just so heavily monetized to the point where it's like, well, it's not worth doing it if you can't make a living out of it.
yeah, well, so that's true. Models, though, here's the thing about creative people. You went to film school, right?
Yeah.
So when you and your film buddies ever got together, how often did you guys go, hey, I have an idea to make this great movie that'll make a lot of money? You probably never had that conversation with anybody, right?
Yeah.
What
Exactly.
you never said, hey, this is going to make money. Let's make this movie because it's going to make money. You never did that, right? You had this great artistic idea that you wanted to deliver a message out to other people. You didn't sit around going, how can I monetize this? That's the challenge of creative people. We don't do that. We sit down and we want to create stuff. We want to make stuff. We want to do beautiful things. We want to share it with the world. We don't talk about making money. But what happens is, because we are so engaged and so directed towards the beautiful things that we want to do as creative people, we are easily taking advantage of other people that find a way to monetize us based on our hopes and dreams. They go, oh, you want to make this movie? Oh, I think that's a winner. That movie you've been dreaming about, I think it's a winner. I need $10,000. I'll go get you some backers. I need you to do this, and I need you to do that. And before you know it, you're going broke, and somebody else is getting richer off your hope and dream. And they don't have to deliver you anything. So that is the challenge.
So that actually does transition to something that we chatted about previously, and that we chatted about before we started the episode. Uh, can you can you talk a little bit about how about these young models are being exploited by scammers? Because it was something that Adolfina touched on when I interviewed her a few months ago when she was talking about how she got her start in fashion. So can you go into into that world?
Yeah, so I'll just use Adolfina's experience as a really good example. She talked about when she went to this supposed, model call or audition, whatever she thought it was, and she walked into the room and it was very exciting. There were photographers there and they were all taking her pictures, and it was this big event and blah blah blah, and it was very exciting. And then she went into the room at the end, and the guy sat down with her and he said, "These are your pictures. They're done. They're ready to go. They're all ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have them all for $5,000." And she, who went there without the expectation of spending any money at all, thought she was maybe auditioning for a part or looking for an opportunity or whatever, felt like it became very easy to rationalize why she should spend the $5,000. You say things to yourself, well, if I want to be in this business, I do have to have pictures, right? And here they are. They're already done. They're already right there and ready to go. So I'm going to have to pay somebody for them. So I might as well get these. I can walk out of here today and have that cross off my list. And yeah, it's a lot of money, but I'm going to probably have to pay somebody that money anyways, right? So these are the things that they get you, and they put you in a spot, make you feel like if you're serious about this, you have to. They love to use the words, you've got to invest in yourself. That's a big thing that we hear a lot.
Right.
You've got to be willing to invest in yourself. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. There is nobody in this world that if you're paying somebody $5,000 for pictures, there's no way that they take your picture, at 3 o'clock and it's ready at 4 o'clock. I mean, there's a lot of processing that photographers do that we do to provide quality pictures to our subjects. So if they took your pictures at 3 o'clock and 2 hours later they were ready, that means they're just giving you raw pictures right out of the camera. They don't even care what they look like. But you get caught in this situation where you feel like, well, this is what I have to do if I truly want to pursue this thing. And so she spent $5,000 and bought those pictures. And that's one example. Now in Charlotte, the numbers are a little bit lower because this isn't New York here, right? So it isn't that. But what we do have a lot of things happening here is we have, you'll hear about a fashion show coming up, and there'll be a model call. And you'll have the parent who decides to take their 10 or 11 or 12 or 13-year-old son or daughter to the model call. They've never been to one before. They think, hey, maybe this will be fun. And they go, and the kid loves it. The kid is just, there's photographers taking pictures, and they're walking on the runway like a professional model, and there's designers there. And it's very exciting. And the kids are, they are just enamored. They want more, more, more. And then the producers tell you, oh, your daughter is amazing. Did you see these pictures? She's fantastic. Oh, 5 designers picked her. 5 designers want her to walk for them. This is so exciting. And then they tell you how much it costs to walk for each designer. There are shows that are charging these kids $350 to walk in the show. And they tell them, well, you'll get 3 pictures and you get to keep the dress. It's a bunch of nothing. It's a big bunch of nothing. It's just a way to take advantage. So, your kid wants to walk for 2 designers, that's $700. I mean, and meanwhile, they're selling tickets to the show. I mean, what is this? And then you've got to buy a ticket to go to the show. I mean, all these things add up to somebody just taking advantage of you and trying to turn your hopes and dreams, monetizing your hopes and dreams, and delivering you absolutely nothing. Now, I would also say that if it's presented properly and you not giving people hopes and dreams and telling them how this is going to lead to all kinds of great things, then it's okay. If this is an experience that you want your child to have, again, it's just like going to Disney. It's just like going to Disney. Just because we go on a roller coaster, but it doesn't mean we're going to become an astronaut. So I think what needs to be done is there has to be education, and parents don't have to spend a lot of money to get their kids these experiences. And that's one of the things that we do here in the collective. We find a way to provide these amazing experiences to people, give them the opportunity to participate in so many different things on a very high professional level, and have the experiences that fulfill them creatively. And then we also provide a ton of services, resources, and education to our models that are trying to pursue a career in modeling. We try to provide them all the things they need, what the types of pictures they need, the type of opportunities they need. We help them work through it. We do it without them having to spend a ton of money, and we do it with giving them real good, honest information and educational information so that they can, disseminate through what is garbage and what should be considered, and how they should, consider what they want to pursue and what they shouldn't pursue. And that's what we do. That's for me, that's one of the most important things that we do in the CFC.
So, can you talk about the resources that you provide for these models and designers?
Yeah. So there's a variety of them. So, for example, we have, as you and I have talked about earlier, the CFC has a talent directory at charlottefashioncollective.com. So if you go to the charlottefashioncollective.com, you can go to our website and you can see our models. You can pull up their portfolios. You can see their measurements. You can see all about them. You can print out their comp cards. You can see their digitals, and it's super high quality. Everything on there is done professionally. You'll see some of the most amazing models in the world on our website right here in Charlotte. We have several hundred on the website. Our models don't pay any fees to be in our talent directory. Our members pay a membership fee of $30 a year to be in the Charlotte Fashion Collective. That's it. Okay. And so the first thing they get is we host their entire portfolio for them. So if somebody wants to see their portfolio, they can give them a link to a professional website with all their information so that they can be considered for opportunities. Our members, each member has their own username and password. They log into their directory, they upload their pictures, they're reviewed by one of our leadership team members to make sure that they're good pictures, because we don't put anything up there that's not, we don't feel is going to provide value to a potential, agency or a producer. And we maintain your portfolio for you. So that's one of the things that we do. The other thing we do is we do different kinds of fashion shows all year long. We have a major show that we do once a year. It's really the biggest show in Charlotte. And nobody pays, no models pay to be in the show. We don't even charge our designers to be in the show. And designers traditionally pay to be in fashion shows because they're showing their designs. But our member designers don't pay anything to be in the show. So nobody has to pay anything to be in the show. And as part of that show, our models get tremendous experience. In modeling, we also do workshops, runway workshops, photography posing workshops that we do for all our models, and they can range, as far as the cost goes, they can be anywhere from $10 to $25 sometimes if we have to pay for a venue, but it's nothing that costs anybody a ton of money. We also do these collaborative events throughout the year. So for example, we have an event coming up on March 30th where we have rented out a venue called the Reed House in Matthews. It's a beautiful Victorian building, all fully furnished, beautiful place, and we rented out for the entire day on a Saturday afternoon on March 30th all the way through the evening. And that day we will have our member designers, our models, photographers, all there, and all of our people get to come there that day together and collaborate. When I say collaborate, they'll be able to get hair and makeup, they'll be able to wear wardrobe provided by designers, they'll get to work with multiple photographers all on the same day. Photographers will get to work with multiple models all on the same day. And the benefit is that everybody gets pictures that they can use. Our models will get amazing portfolio pictures. Our photographers will get amazing pictures and the opportunity to market their services as fashion photographers, and they'll have pictures that they can put in their portfolios. Designers will also get the opportunity to get pictures of their designs and so forth. Models come in and we do training and we show them how to walk on the runway, and we do posing classes with them. And so we try to educate them as much as we can on how to, work within that environment. And then the rest of it is fun. We take pictures, we get to wear great wardrobe, and we have a great time. So we want our models to have the Disney experience, right? We want them to have that, especially for those that are really just looking for that. And then we also want to give them education and training on the different things that they can do. And when they these models are always needing pictures. It's one of the things that they all need, and it's very, very expensive to get portfolio pictures. And we do them. We do headshots for our models, and we do it all. For example, the average cost for headshots is about $350. Okay, and you'll probably get like maybe 3 to 5 pictures. Okay, for your headshots.
Right.
What we do, and that's a fair price. What we do is we pick a day, and we will have 10 or 15 or 20 models all come in, and we will do all their headshots for $40 a person. That's it. And we have them bring multiple different looks so that we can get them. Some of them will get 20 pictures from it, if they bring enough looks, because headshots sometimes need different looks for different types of characterizations. We do it for $40 a person. We next Sunday, we are spending the whole day in the studio doing portfolio pictures for our members for $75. We're going to put together their entire portfolio for $75 a person, and it's not just, it's not like pictures that you walk out. You come in, there'll be, you all kinds of lighting setups. These will be professionally taken pictures, which I do most of all these pictures myself. We do bring in other photographers sometimes in the collective to do them too. And then they're professionally edited, they're post-processed. We work with all the models, and if they're minors, their parents, very closely on how we process them. And then our models have amazing pictures that they can post in their portfolios. And a lot of the pictures you'll see on our website are pictures that are done by our CNC photographers. So those are some of the things that we do. We also have a partnership with Dillard's. We do about 4 shows a year at Dillard's in the Carolina Place Mall. It's fantastic. We did a Christmas show this past year. We had 80 models. Dillard's brings in a runway. Dillard's provides all the wardrobe, and we put on an amazing fashion show right there in Dillard's. We've got one coming up on March 9th. And then we have a kids show coming up there also, I think on March 18th, maybe something like that. And nobody pays anything to be part of that either. And same thing, we typically bring about 5 or 6 photographers. We set backups all over the store at Dillard's, and we get another opportunity to take pictures of our models so that they can have great portfolio pictures. So everybody wins. The photographers get the benefit, the models get the benefit. Everybody gets something out of doing it, and nobody's going broke doing it.
Right. Because basically it's a network where everybody's helping each other out.
Exactly.
Right.
Everybody's participating. Yeah.
So I'm assuming, but by doing this is the way of promoting the Charlotte fashion scene, because it's one of those things that kind of gets swept under the rug. People don't really know too much about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is, I wish we had more of a quote unquote fashion scene in Charlotte. There almost kind of really isn't one. There really doesn't seem to be a scene. It would be nice if there was an actual, fashion scene. I think Charlotte needs that. And I think we will. I think, we're driving towards hopefully making that happen. And I think things are starting to get a little bit better. I think with the advent of the Charlotte Fashion Collective, it spurred a lot of interest in fashion in Charlotte. It's gotten a lot more people involved, and it's gotten other people that have been doing it waking up and realize that they might need to change the way they're doing things.
So another thing I wanted to ask you too was is right now the Charlotte fashion scene is mainly limited to the Charlotte area, right? Do y'all have any plans, or is there anything in the works to kind of start expanding into other other parts of North Carolina and maybe parts of South Carolina?
Well, we already have a large membership base from South Carolina. We have a large membership base in Greensboro, in Raleigh, in Atlanta, Georgia, in different parts of Georgia. We have members in Virginia. So we have members that come from all over. So while the majority are here in Charlotte, our members are coming from everywhere. They're coming from all over. So I do think that we will continue to expand that into other areas. I can foresee, I think there should be, like, what we're doing here in Charlotte, I think should be done everywhere. I mean, if we had something like what we're doing here in Charlotte, if there was one in Atlanta, and if there was one, if there was one in every major city, and I mean, what a great thing it would be, to have something like that. And then once a year, there's a big, collective fashion conference, and all the collectives get together. It would just be an incredible thing. So I think that possibility exists. I think there's an opportunity for that. It takes a lot of work, and it takes somebody that's really got the drive to want to do it and make it happen.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me that that the logic behind it was to basically just create like this safe space in this network where models can, if they hear about a job in Atlanta, they can just go there without having to go through all the red tape and and all that mess to just to get there. Or if someone's in Virginia and they want to do modeling work in Charlotte, for instance, or in Greensboro, they can, and they'll know somebody and not have to go through the whole awkwardness of trying to meet someone and trying to find out who do I talk to about X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, it's always good to have people that you can go to and ask questions to. There's no doubt, 100%.
And this is something that I mentioned in our phone conversation a few months ago. Have you reached out to any of the fashion programs in the Charlotte area, or I guess I should expand in the wider Georgia, Carolinas, Virginia area to kind of work with young fashion students who are trying to make a name for themselves with their studies and their career?
Yeah, so unfortunately there's not a lot. So Johnson and Wales has like a fashion merchandising program. We've reached out to them. We really haven't heard. I can't get any of those people to call me back. It's a small program, so I don't know. But here's what I will tell you is at our show every year we introduce new emerging designers. At our show this year, we introduced two new emerging designers, Priscilla Addison and Ashley Lamb, who both showed amazing collections at our show this year. In fact, Priscilla is now also showing at Concord Fashion Week, which comes out in March. So she's starting to get noticed. So we definitely are always looking for new and upcoming people in the industry. As far as there's not a lot of fashion education going on in Charlotte. I wish there was more. There's an organization that recently started called Woven Fashion Incubator. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their status is. They were a nonprofit and kind of lost their funding. In fact, we raised a bunch of money for them at our show this year, and use it to help fund students to take their classes, because they were giving sewing and design classes at very inexpensive rates, which we were really supportive of because we felt like it was a great way that more people could get into fashion. And so we did a big raffle for them. Dillard's donated a bunch of items and we gave all the money to them. And then just recently after that, they lost their funding, and I don't know what their status is right now. I know that the lady that was managing it is still trying to work through some things, so we're hoping that they kind of can survive through it. But we were big supporters of that program, and we're hoping that they'll stick around. But yeah, I mean, anytime there's somebody that's new and wanting to get involved, we want to support those up and coming people for sure.
Right. Well, the reason why I bring that up is because I know is in terms of filmmaking, I know that a lot of film collectives and film festivals, they kind of work with local schools, or they work with colleges and universities to kind of encourage up and coming talent to kind of develop their skills and kind of work with them. So they kind of have this network going on where once they've graduated, they've already got a support system in place. You really don't see that much in terms of fashion studies, because it's kind of I can't really speak from experience. It's just conjecture, but it just seems like you're more fending for yourself in that
you kind of are,
environment.
and it's really more about I think you're probably the thing that you want to probably get really good at is knowing how to market. Marketing is probably the key to all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, fashion merchandising and marketing and all that kind of stuff, that's a whole nother ballgame. And that's if you want to be able to make a living at it and not just have it be a hobby for the rest of your life, then you got to know all that stuff,
Yeah.
Because even the greatest of talent, it does, fashion is this very subjective thing, and anybody could become a great fashion designer. I mean, I often laugh. I tell people about photography when I talk about being a great photographer. I always tell people the best thing about photography, you don't have to be good at it. You can be terrible, but if people like your work, that's all that matters, right? I mean, if people like what you do, then whatever. As long as people love it and like it and want to pay for it, then you're okay. That's okay. And not only that, but we don't do art to please other people. We do art to please ourselves. That's what artists do. We hope
Yeah.
other people like it. That's what we hope. We hope that other people like what we do. We hope that our message resonates with them, but we don't do it for them. That's not how it works.
Right. And if people are loving what you're doing, then that's great, but you're not there to please them, you're there to please yourself.
You're
Right.
there to please yourself, and you hope they like it too. Every
Yep.
time I go to a photo shoot, every time I'm in the studio shooting a model, I am not. I mean, I want my model. My model is the most important. When I'm shooting a model, that model is the most important thing in the world to me. I want that model to feel comfortable, to feel energetic, to feel inspired, and to feel like they're part of the process. Because we are doing this together. I'm not just taking your picture. We are working together to create stories. That's what we're doing. But at the end of the day, my input is my personal feeling. It's not because I'm trying to please somebody else. I'm hoping that my message resonates with other people. And I'm hoping that together, me and the people I'm working with, I hope that we create a message together that really becomes something that's even greater. And we usually do. That almost, in fact, we always do. I mean, that's what happens. We all, when even like when we did our shoot today, we got together before the shoot, we discussed, what we want to do for hair and makeup. I had some ideas, the makeup artist had some ideas, and we all kind of figured out, I had one idea coming in. The makeup artist made a suggestion. She said, you know what, I don't think that's the best choice because the boots have gold in it and the silver makeup, and we talked through it all and we came up with what we thought was going to be the best option for the shoot. And that's how you create. And that's what we do.
So, so we're still early in 2024, and the Charlotte Fashion Collective has been around for what, 3 years ish,
2 years. We just
2 years
started our
ish,
third year. Yeah, we're
two,
just
third year.
entering our third year. Yeah.
So what are your plans, or what are your goals for 2024?
Yeah. So we have a few goals. I'll tell. We just, it's kind of funny. Me and the leadership team just recapped our goals for 2023 and kind of did a look at what our goals were and what we accomplished, and what we didn't accomplish. And we really 2023 was such a great year because our biggest goal was getting our website up. When we first launched the collective, our talent directory was a byline. It was like, "Hi, my name is Jessica. I like to model, and everybody says I look great, in pink." And now, I mean,
Right.
that was our talent directory. That was it. It was no joke. That was our entire talent directory. And so in 2023, our goal was to launch a real talent directory that would rival any high-end talent agency in the world. And we did it. It's there. It exists. It's live. So that was one of the most greatest accomplishments we could have ever had. And then also redoing our membership website, which is thepeopleoffashion.com, and revamping that and resetting that up so that we could provide access for all our resources and for where people could sign up for our events and also see pictures from all of our collaborations and things like that. So 2023, those were our biggest objectives.
Mhm.
2024, we have let me just say one other thing too. Another big objective for 2023 was really pushing our diversity and inclusion program, which we also have been extremely successful. When you go to our fashion show, it is, and the word diverse, I'm not a big fan of it, but the word inclusion, I am. We include every body, every shape, every size, every sexual orientation, every skin tone. We don't care. There is nobody that we can't put on that runway. Nobody. And there's nobody that we can't do incredible things for in a photo shoot. So that was a big goal for 2023, and we made a lot of ground in that. So a few of the big goals we have for 24. Our biggest goal, our biggest goal for 2024 is that we need to get our own studio space. It's a lofty goal because it's going to be expensive, and we don't have a lot of money because we don't charge people a lot of money. But I
Right.
think we if we could get our own studio space, we could stop renting studio space for our studio shoots. We can provide that studio space to our members to rent at very, very low costs. so that our models and photographers all have studio space that they can do their shoots. I already have all the gear and all the equipment. I can fully fit a studio with all the lighting equipment and all the backdrops and anything and everything you could ever want. We just are looking for space. So we're just starting that process now to look for space and try to put together a program where we can make that work. So that's probably our biggest goal for 2024. One of the other goals for 2024, and a really big one for us too, is changing. We are trying to change the view of who models are. And right now, models are identified by their sizes. So we have a category of models known as curvy and or plus size models. And we've met so many people we've heard say, oh, I'm a plus size model or I'm a curvy model. We want to say, you're a model. You don't, why do you, because little skinny models don't say I'm a skinny model, right? They don't say that, right? They don't say, oh, I'm a model size 2. They don't say that kind of stuff, right? They seem to have some type of special power that they don't have to tell you any more than that. So we have developed a new term that is called the My Size community. And I shouldn't say we. We have a member of the collective named Sabrina Whipple, who is taking on that challenge for us to create what we call the My Size community. And the My Size community is a community of everybody. It means that everybody's size is included in modeling. And there's no more you're a my size model, and that means everybody. And so one of our objectives this year is to really try and move that and bring it forward and really do a better job of including all sizes, integrating them into the standard part of every single fashion show that's out there, and to change that tone so that we don't have to separate those things. That we're all in the same boat. So that's one of our big objectives for 2024. Another big objective for 2024 is that we want, so up until now, the collective, pretty much most of it's funded by me. We would like to start to break even. It would be nice if we could do that. We haven't, I think we're still a little bit away from that. And I don't know if we'll achieve that this year or not. We definitely did better last year. We did better in 2023 than we did in 2022, as far as selling tickets to our show and things like that. But this year, the show's going to be even bigger. And so we want to start to do some things to put in place that we can provide a greater value and never have to put people in a position where they've got to pay a lot of money. But I think one of the paths to that break-even point is hopefully by getting a studio space that we can make it available to members and hopefully have that pay for itself. That would change a lot of things for us. So that's one of our big objectives for 2024 as well. And then, of course, to continue the message and the education, we have a big objective also of getting more kids involved in fashion. It was a big objective for 2023, and we were very successful at doing it. It's also a big objective for 2024. We feel like we have to get these kids in the collective as early as possible. And the reason I say that is because if we don't, and they get off on the wrong path, then it may be a short-term thing when it could have been a long-term thing. It could take away a great opportunity for somebody. And, we don't want anybody to have, we want everybody that wants to be a part of this realize that they can be, and they don't have to have their eyes on some ridiculous prize. So those are kind of some of our agenda points for 2024, and to continue to expand the membership base.
Right.
And also one more thing too.
Yeah.
One more thing too for 2024 is we have a big push on more engaging designers more than we have in the past. Designers are not, there's not as many of them, right? The great majority of our members are models, so there's not as many of them, and we want to find ways to support. We do a great job of supporting models. Everybody knows that, right? Because most of what you hear me talk about is models, right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
and as it should be, because they are. I believe if we support the models and bring the models up, everybody rises along with them. That's my philosophy. But we do want to do a bigger and greater outreach to really support the design community as well, and create events and collaboratives that are more geared towards the design part of things than other things. And one of our designers we're working with right now to do that. And then there's one more thing I'm going to mention too, and this is a really important thing. It's a big impetus for 2024, and we just launched it. CFC is implementing what we are calling a CFC certified photographer program. So CFC photographers have the opportunity to apply for certification. To be a CFC certified photographer, you will have to submit some work, to be reviewed. And we have 3 photographers that are part of the collective that will be heading that up. 3 excellent photographers that all have different disciplines, that all understand fashion photography, that all understand post-processing, and so forth. So photographers will have an opportunity to submit their work to be reviewed by that team. And if the team feels that their work is good, then that photographer will have to pass a criminal background check. And that photographer will also have to have been in attendance at least 2 of our collaborative events, so that we have an opportunity to see them working with models. Once that photographer has passed that criteria, they'll get a stamp that they can put on their website that says that they are a CFC certified photographer. And that will mean that we endorse them. It will mean that we know we have certain standards that they will have to live by with response to turnaround times to get our models their pictures and things like that. There's been a lot of bad experiences between models and photographers, unfortunately. We haven't had any weird stuff, but we have had situations where models will go to a photographer and never get their pictures. It seems to be a running theme with photographers. They go to a photographer, they spend the whole day getting pictures done, and they never get them. They get no pictures. We've even had cases where we've had people pay the photographer and never get their pictures. So if you go to a CFC certified photographer, you're going to get your pictures, because the CFC will make sure you get your pictures.
So when's that supposed to start?
It's up on the website now.
Okay.
You can, if you go to thepeopleoffashion.com, the information about the program is already up on the website. We are in the process of the 3 folks that are going to be managing the program. We're requiring them to go through the criminal background check process first. So we have to do that. I've already done my own criminal background check, but I'm not going to be part of that group that certifies the photographers. I feel like it's better. I've always believed that the collective has to be a voice of many, many people. And if it was just my voice, it would not survive. And in the beginning, I was able to do a lot of things myself, but it is not that way anymore. We have other people that are incredibly engaged. It is not just me. I am just one little piece of this puzzle at this point. We have 3 other people. I'll just mention their names. We have Angelique Gramskill. We have Angela Jones and Eric Pratt are all members of our leadership team. And believe me when I tell you, this collective does not exist without them. It does not, in any way, shape, or form. They are dedicated, incredibly hardworking people that care about all the same things, give great feedback, and work so hard to make sure that we're always doing the right thing.
Yeah, the heart and soul, as it were, of this organization.
It wasn't always that way. We went through challenges in the beginning, but we arrived at an incredibly great place.
So, so as we're wrapping things up, Todd, if people want to learn more about you or the CFC, where can they go?
Well, so you can go to the best place to find out more about our membership and so forth is thepeopleoffashion.com. Okay, at thepeopleoffashion.com, you can learn all about the Charlotte Fashion Collective and what we do, and you can go to our galleries and you can see all the pictures from our collaborative events. We've done so many things. Like you'll see, we all went to the Brevard waterfalls last year. We had about 50 models and photographers all over the waterfalls. You'll see pictures from those events. You'll see pictures from our Dillard's runway show. You'll see pictures from our fashion show. You'll see all the different things that we do, and you'll see how you can become a member. You can also go to the charlottefashioncollective.com and see our talent directory. You can also, from the peopleoffashion.com, you can click on the talent directory link, which will also take you to our talent directory. So they kind of go back and forth. So you have all those options for that. So that's where you can find out about us. You can, of course, follow us on Instagram. We're the Charlotte Fashion Collective. I have a photography for my photography part of things, which is MTOD Photography on Instagram as well. And I also have a website, mtodphotography.com. But really and truly, everything goes free. Everything I do really these days, I don't really do anything for the most part through MTOD Photography anymore. I pretty much only work with members of the CFC. I bet some other people want to book me for photo shoots, and I kind of tell them, you know what? If you're not a CFC member, I don't think I can do it. It's really kind of funny. I could obviously charge a lot more money to other people, but I'm like, you know what? I don't have time to do anything for anybody but CFC members anymore. I really don't. There's too many people. And they really rely on what we do, you know. We have next week, we have 10 models coming in for portfolio shoots this weekend. And what I do this at least 2 or 3 times a month when models are having photo shoots, I go shopping with them. You will often find me at Forever 21 with 3 kids and their parents picking out wardrobe for their photo shoot. It's, you know, so anything we can do to support people so that they have an amazingly great experience, that's what we do.
Excellent. Well, Todd, as this is a movie podcast, this is something that I always like to ask my guests at the end of every episode. What's your favorite movie or TV show that you just feel the world needs to know about?
Well, so look, you know I'm from New York originally.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'm going to do, Luca, because you're a movie guy.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you a quote, and I'm hoping you will get the movie. Okay.
All right.
Here is the quote.
Okay.
Leave the gun. Take the cannolis.
This is The Godfather.
All right. I was so worried you might not get it.
No one has ever done this on the podcast before. I think you might have set a precedent there, but
I think it should be done. I think that's so it should be done. I think you know, and that was a softball one because everybody knows that quote. So that was a softball one. But I think I'll try to start out this new trend and make it easy on you, and they'll probably get harder as you go on. But yes,
The Godfather.
Definitely, without doubt, my favorite movie of all time. And I will say this too: for those of you who think that the movie is about the mafia, it is not. And the reason The Godfather is a great movie, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, it is because of the incredible depth of the characters. So what The Godfather is about, it's a movie about a family who just so happens to be a bunch of gangsters.
Right. This is before The Sopranos. So
Right, The Sopranos is the same thing. It is the same thing. It is a movie about a family who just so happens to be in the mafia. Same exact thing. The stories are different, but the reason we love it is because we love the story about that family dynamic and the trials and tribulations that they go through in their own little world. So,
in a way, you kind of sympathize with them because what they're experiencing is pretty much relatable to what any family has to go through. Really,
absolutely.
I mean, it just happens to be their
They're mafia people.
Yeah, they're mobsters.
Right.
But I mean, like, how many shows and movies have we seen where where people are like garbage workers, or they work in politics, or they work in fashion, for instance, or they're media mogul.
It's the same story. Right.
Exactly.
Right. These guys just happen to be, but everybody thinks it's a movie about the mafia, but it's not. It's about a movie about a family and what they go through, and they just so happen to be mobsters. So I
And
think,
and can I just say, Marlon Brando,
oh,
phenomenal actor. Like that's
look,
like that's
come
like
on.
the peak of his
On the
acting. I mean,
waterfront, Streetcar Named Desire. I mean, come on.
yeah,
What, it gets no better than that. It
exactly.
just,
I like all the roles he did prior were we're just preparing him for for that role in that movie.
yeah.
You also mentioned too that you're a fan of Star Trek, but more specifically you're a fan of the original series, aren't
The
you?
originals, yes, yes,
The
yes.
one,
Big fan.
not the one with all the other actors, but the one with Bill Shatner as Captain
William
Jim Kirk.
Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, all those. That show for me was, I always loved. As a kid, I grew up watching it. I still love watching it. And again, I think it was the dynamic of the roles that each character had a very specific psychology that was required to make the Enterprise function.
Well, it's also a testament to the writing too, because and this may come as a shock to younger viewers, but back then writers had to be good. They actually had to write pretty good stories.
Yeah,
As opposed to nowadays, where you can get away with writing a crap story and still drawing millions of views because you've got great special effects. But
you can.
know,
But I will say though, I do believe that we have some great writing today.
true.
We do have some absolutely first class, outstanding, incredible writing going on in both I don't even know what the term TV means anymore, to be honest with you. I don't know if Netflix is TV or, but there is some really great writing going on out there. Some really
Yeah.
great.
You just have to look for it
Yeah.
among all the fluff. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to come onto the podcast, and I just want to thank everybody who watched for taking the time to watch this interview, because what's been said here is pretty important and it's been pretty informative. And if nothing else, I mean, if this is something that you're planning to do, I mean, I hope to God we've at least given you something to chew on. And if there are any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to the Charlotte Fashion Collective. I'll have the links down below. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Movie Pope podcast. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
And
Take
thank
it
you
easy.
so much. Yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on here on behalf of the entire, fashion community. Anytime somebody takes an interest in what we're doing, we are certainly and most graciously appreciative of that.
Excellent. All right. Well,
All right.
we'll
Thanks,
do it.
Luca. All right.
Yep.
Have a great